Hello and welcome to this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture, a presentation of the Communications Unit, Ministry of Agriculture. I'm your producer and host, Christopher Holder. On this week's presentation, we bring you highlights of Minister Mustafa's activities over this past week. He has been all across the country taking that message of agriculture and its importance to government and to the people of Guyana and to the region as a whole. He was in Bloomfield on the quarantine, where he announced that single-parent package for single-parent mothers, part of government's efforts at providing relief to vulnerable groups across the country. This is the latest grouping to be targeted here in Berbice. This catchment area for the rollout of the Black Giant project for single-parent mothers spans from Bloomfield to Alness, takes in like 6 or 7 villages in between. And so we'll be hearing about that particular program, as well as the massive desilting of drains and irrigation channels in the community, effort at improving drainage and irrigation for farmers and residents alike in those communities. Of course, these are interventions that are happening across the country, and so Bloomfield is just the latest in a series of communities to benefit from government's intervention as it relates to the improvement of infrastructure in those specific communities. Minister Mustafa traveled to Region 9 Saturday for his presentation at the 1,000 man initiative launched by President Dr. Irfaan Ali. And of course, he delivered a powerful speech at that presentation, at that event, and we'll be hearing from him some of the highlights of that presentation. He also commissioned a new $13 million agro-processing facility in St. Ignatius. We'll be bringing you highlights of that. So lots and lots of stuff for you on this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture. We will be back after these messages.
Government has committed to assisting coconut farmers across the country in their efforts at expanding their cultivations. This help will come through the clearing of vegetation and digging of internal drainage and irrigation channels. Farmers can also expect help in the form of technical support through NARI and the Hope Estate. Further, coconut seedling nurseries have been established in various regions as part of a decentralization program for nurseries. Coconut seedlings are now available. These are the 5, 3, and 18-month varieties. Farmers are reminded that the recommended number of trees per acre is 50. Persons interested in purchasing seedlings may make contact with Hope Estate on telephone number 663-2709. Once the booking is made, seedlings can be picked up from a nursery nearest you. A message from the management of Hope Estate, Ministry of Agriculture. Here's an important notice. Do you know that it is illegal to import, store, distribute, sell, and purchase antibiotics without a license or prescription, as the case may be? According to the Antibiotic Act of 1952, owners of livestock and other animals are not permitted to purchase and use antibiotics unless prescribed by a veterinarian. It should be noted that the misuse of antibiotics could result in the development of resistance to the very antibiotic, which in turn will pose health risks to the animal and to humans. The GLDA advises that farmers should not administer antibiotics to animals unless prescribed by a veterinarian. Non-compliance with this act will result in fines and imprisonment. A message from the Guyana Livestock Development Authority, Ministry of Agriculture. Over the last 10 years, seed treatment has been proven to be very effective in protecting rice plants from damage by early season pests, such as water weevils, leaf miners, and caterpillars. This protection can last for up to 30 days. In so doing, it allows for better establishment of the rice plants and later no bare spots in the field. Seed treatment also negates the need for using harmful pesticides during the first 30 days of the crop and therefore allows the buildup of beneficial insects such as the ladybird beetle, damselflies, dragonflies, and spiders spiders, which will later prove useful against paddy bugs at every stage of their life cycle. Seed treatment involves the application of pimpernel at 20% soluble concentrate in a spray can to germinated seed. The mix is 1 liter of pimpernel to 2.5 gallons of water to treat 10 120-pound bags of paddy. This can be done manually as seen here. The seed is spread on a level surface and the chemical applied using a spray can. It is then turned and sprayed a few times until the farmer is satisfied that he has achieved complete wetting of his seed paddy. Treated seed paddy is then covered and allowed to be incubated or pressed for the normal 36 to 48 hours. Then it is ready for sowing. It should be noted that in treating the seed, farmers applying the pesticide should wear the appropriate protective gear as seen here to protect against the harmful effects of the chemical on the skin or if inhaled.
From 2010, since I started my seed treatment, that's when I started, and I've continued. I've never stopped because I've seen the benefit of seed treatment. And I've seen increased yield, I've seen production better because it actually gives you 35 to 40 days that you don't have to go back into the field and do any kind of a pesticide control, because that actually helps you. So farmers, I'm advising you and I'm giving you that advice because I've been doing this since 2010, and I'd like to see farmers benefit also from these 6 points.
Seed treatment is a critical step in the realization of higher yield. If you have not yet adopted this practice, try it this crop. A message from the GRDB, Ministry of Agriculture. We begin this week's program by telling you that on Monday last, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa led a team from the Development Bank of Latin America, CAF, to Tecama in Region 10, where the local conglomerate Tecama Gold is currently harvesting its largest crop of soybean to date. The officials were able to see firsthand the scale of the operations and the vastness of lands available for farming in its various forms. Even as it harvests the second crop of beans for the year, the entity is simultaneously planting the first crop of soybean for 2023. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa has indicated that the Tecama Gold aims to expand its cultivation to 50,000 acres a year in corn and soybean cultivation by 2025, significantly cutting down on import costs for corn and soybean, the main ingredients used in the production of stock feed for the local livestock sector. Minister Mustafa joined President Dr. Irfan Ali and colleague ministers for a high-level meeting with executive members of the Development Bank of Latin America, CAF, at State House. The bank team included Executive President Sergio Diaz Granados, Corporate Vice President Strategic Programming Christian Asinelli, and Senior Executive Protocol Juan Claudio Morales. The team was briefed on Guyana's development trajectory and its focus on modernizing and advancing its agriculture sector to position Guyana as the agriculture powerhouse of the region. On Tuesday, Minister Mustafa and team traveled to Bloomfield Quarantine for a meeting with residents of the Wim Bloomfield NDC and surrounding communities, where he outlined a number of massive undertakings to improve the drainage and irrigation infrastructure in the villages of Wim Bloomfield, as well as those all the way to Alness. In this regard, Minister Mustafa said government recognizes the importance of facilitating and supporting the efforts of the nation's farmers, and as such, they can count on unfailing support every step of the way. But he also urged that farmers must adapt to survive the impact of climate change, to practice climate-smart agriculture to mitigate against the trend of increasing rainfall.
So what we have been doing, we have been looking, as I said, at the agriculture sector, and we want to ensure that what we have, we consolidate and expand. The traditional crops. So we are looking at the rice sector. In Region 6, we have approximately 65 to 70,000 acres of available land to cultivate rice. What we want to do, we want to open up more lands to give the farmers, to get other people to come into this sector. Because when you look around the world today, there are high demands for grain, especially our rice. We are having, every single week, we are having requests for new markets. but we have to produce. So you, the farmers who are in rice production, you have to work with us. We have been making seed paddy available to farmers. We have been making better variety of paddy because when I became Minister of Agriculture, we never had the GRDB 16 variety. Now the GRDB 15 and the 10, the national average was about between 30 to 39 bags per acre. The GRDB 16 paddy that we just not too long bring out about a year ago, it has the potential to increase the yield from 39 bags per acre to 60 bags per acre. We have to do it according to the specification and the agronomist practice. So GRDB, we have our extension officer. If you could work with them, if you could do it according to how you have to do it, then we will have that amount. But we can't keep doing things the same old way and you want better results. Today, climate change is real. The Comrade talk about it. He went to Egypt the other day at the COP, the climate summit, and he will tell you not only in Guyana, whilst we are having rain almost on a daily basis in Guyana, in some part of the world, people are praying for rain. Egypt, people are praying for rain. In Dubai, he will tell you, when the rain falls in Dubai, the people coming out on the street feeling joy. Every 6 months you get rain there. But in Guyana, we get it every day. But that show of climate change. When we talk about climate change, people say that not about climate change. But it affects us severely now. We are having rain. The driest month for us is August and September. And we are having heavy rainfall. So we have to do things the different way. We have to do things in a more modern way, in a smarter way. Use science and technology to improve our yield. We can't allow climate change to stop us from producing.
Earlier, Minister Mustafa had interacted with residents of the Bloomfield and surrounding villages, listening to their representations on issues affecting them. In this regard, he announced redress.
There were a lot of requests in this area. I thought it to come to with a team and we will make some intervention so that you, the farm people in this community, can have some of the or enjoy some of the development that are taking place in our country. So, first of all, those persons who would have raised with me the issue of transport for this area at the back there. The Ministry of Housing is saying by March, April next year, everyone who signed up for their transport will receive their transport. So in another 3, 4, 5 months, and ensure you go in and sign. So you can't say that you want your transport and you're not sign. So ensure, I'm telling you now, if you didn't sign for your transport, go in and ensure that you sign and you'll get your transport when they share out the transport. Or else when the people come share their transport and you not sign, don't fight around and say that me got to get my transport. That's like you want to win the lotto, you buy a ticket and you fight and say you want the lotto money. So we have to ensure that we sign. Now for this area, Wim Bloomfield, we know for a fact, when you look at the entire villages in these areas, the most flood prone area is Wim. So over the years, we have seen what have happened in Wim. As soon as the rain falls, Wim does normally be an area that flooded out very fast. I just normally receive call till in Georgetown that Wim is underwater. So I have looked at what we have at NDIA, and within 2 months, or before the year is out, we'll have a pump dedicated to Wim, fixed pump that will use at Wim village here to drain the water out of Wim. So that will be to the benefit of this, of Wim. So I'll make that available, and Mr. Lionel, who is in charge of NDIA, he will ensure that that pump is there. Now, also in the community, when you go around the villages of Wim, Auckline, Letterkenny, and Bloomfield, almost all the internal drain is blocked with bush. And sometimes some people are cleaning their drain and some are not cleaning it. So what I have decided at our level, although it doesn't fall within the purview of the Ministry of Agriculture, but we have looked at it and we decided that we'll desilt all the drains. So all the internal drains in Wim Bloomfield will be desilted. And that program will commence us from tomorrow. And we have Associated Construction, and our company is here. Mr. Lewis is here. He's here. and he will commence that program tomorrow. That will cost us $42 million. And I want the community, I want the people in the community to monitor it, and he will not put the spoil on the dam, he will take away the spoil. So when he clean the drains, he will take out all the stuff from the drain and transport it out. So we'll have clean waterway. If anybody's bridge is blocking the drain, we'll have to move it. You all agree with me? Yes. Good. So when the time comes, I wouldn't be here all the time, you know when sometimes I got to be all over the place, right? You all have to ensure that we set up a small committee and work with the NDC, work with the NCDC, and ensure that we monitor this project. Right, I am hoping before we have the heavy rainfall, we can conclude this project. And that goes for Wim, Auckland, Letterkenny, and Bloomfield. So I'll ask the contractor simultaneously if we could have machine in all these villages. So we'll not do one first and then go to the other. I know it's very, very important. So we'll clean all the drains in this community, entire community. Now, this brings me to the cultivation area. We know there are a number of canals that we have done already. So from Alness, coming on right way to Bloomfield. Not Wim Bloomfield now, from Alness to Wim Bloomfield, we'll clean all the canals in this area, at the cultivation area, so that the farmers will have clean canals. At the end of it, we will have maintenance crew, and that will be taken from the community. So you all farm yourself into groups. We're not giving individual this work. Farm yourself into groups. We'll give you the canals, you'll maintain the canals, and the NDI will pay you all. Right? So when we finish here, we have a maintenance contract. And the villagers, so people living in Bloomfield will have the Bloomfield canals. Letterkenny, the same thing. Auckland and go. So I want the people who are present here to start farm yourself into group. Get your group active. And the NDI will work along with you all.
Before wrapping up his address to the residents present at the Bloomfield meeting, Minister Mustafa announced that all single-parent mothers from Bloomfield to Alness would be given 25 black giant chicks as a way of empowering this particular vulnerable group in that area. This program is expected to be rolled out in a matter of weeks. Later in the week, Minister Mustafa presented the prizes to the winners of the Agriculture Month 2022 Snap and Share Photo Competition. Ms. Kathy Martin, an officer attached to the Ministry of Agriculture, was also present for the prize-giving exercise. The winners were, in first place, Padmini Pasod, who won a $50,000 shopping voucher for the Guyana shop. In second place was Arifa Azad, who was presented with a Made in Guyana basket valued $25,000. In third place was Devika Ruben, who also got a Made in Guyana basket, hers worth $15,000. All compliments of the new GMC's Guyana shop. Also this past week, the Ministry of Agriculture bid farewell to CEO of the Guyana School of Agriculture, Mr. Brian Greenidge, who now moves into retirement. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa and other senior staff of the ministry gathered to bid the long-serving agriculture official farewell in the boardroom of the Ministry of Agriculture. Mr. Greenidge began his career with the ministry in 1994, when he was then appointed as a technical manager at the National Paddy and Rice Grading Center. He then served as technical coordinator at the GRDB and served in that position until 2000. From 2000 to 2007, he served as Quality Control Manager and was then appointed as Deputy Permanent Secretary Admin from 2007 to 2009. Later that year, he was appointed CEO of the Guyana School of Agriculture, where he provided strategic leadership for the total operations of GSA. He was also instrumental in establishing collaborative links and working relationships with sister agricultural agencies, international tertiary institutions, and non-governmental organizations operating in the field of agriculture. Minister Mustafa, in his remarks, thanked Mr. Greenidge for his invaluable contribution to the development of Guyana's agriculture sector over the years. Minister Mustafa and the staff and students of the ministry and the Guyana School of Agriculture wish Mr. Greenidge all the best and hope he enjoys the next chapter of his life. On Friday, Minister Mustafa and team traveled to Region 9 for a number of engagements, including the launch of President Dr. Irfan Ali's Men on a Mission initiative there. In delivering the feature remarks at that launch, Minister Mustafa told those gathered that the initiative seeks to portray men in a positive light, working in a network, in a collective manner, to resolve problems. According to Minister Mustafa, it's time for all men to join the mission, to reposition their roles within society.
It is to work against violence. It is to work at making men better, at being good men, responsible boys, responsible youth in our today's society. And when I said these things, I am saying it in the context that the perception out there against men is not good, especially in our society. We are being seen as people who deal with issue violently, who try to use force to bring resolution to problems. And those are the things, in that context, the president would have taken into consideration in launching this initiative. We have to bring back standard. We have to uphold the rule of law. We have to deal with situation in more better ways. And we have to work with the entire population so that we can build a society that is conducive for all of us to live. So a lot of ideas about our ways of doing things are generally formed around the street corners. And the chairman would have alluded to it. He made one reference to the use of drugs. That sometimes because of peer pressure, our youths are involved in these negative activities. So this initiative here will not be a one-off launch, and today we are launching it in Region 9, and we'll leave it. I'm glad that the RHO said in his speech that they will do follow-up visits so that they could take into consideration the wellness of men. Because today, more than ever, many of our men folks are neglecting their physical fitness. We thought that we are macho and we will not go to the hospital. We will not go to the health centers. We will not take medical checkup. But at the end of it, when we are about to die, then we go into these places and the time is too late for us to go there. So as I said, that these ideas form around the street corners, in our homes, school, place of work. This 1,000 Men initiative creates a platform for conversation in every community about what makes you a man. We thought, or we think, as men, we have to do certain things. We have to show our force. We have to show our we are masculine, we are strong, we are better than women. But that doesn't make us a man. There are many other things that we neglect in our society. And we have to also, as men, we need to be reminded of the value of responsibility, serving as role models, and showing a collective commitment to shouldering a progressive system that supports Guyana development, our developing society. The president has determined that it is necessary to start rebuilding values and educating the next generation of young men on what it means to be a leader, whether it's in the homes, school, workplace, place of worship, or society as a whole. We have a responsibility, and we must use our experience. We must use our initiative to go out there and work amongst the communities. To put it simply, the message of Men on Mission is to take action. We must take action in the way we think, that the way we lead, and more importantly, the way we live alongside one another, if we wish to witness
the beauty of Guyana's development. Men and Mission goes beyond our differences. Men and Mission is a pledge to put our differences aside in an effort to unite us around a common objective, and that objective is to improve Guyana. This initiative aim is to improve the lives of our younger generation of males who deal with a number of social issues such as drug usage, exposure to domestic violence, gang violence, and other violent crimes. There are too many men in our society wandering around. We are short on labor in our country today. Today, when we are seeing massive development taking place, when we are witnessing our countries moving, one of the fastest growing economy in the world, we are short simply here in Guyana with labor. And when you go around the country at the street corners and on shop side, you'll see men sit down, skylarking and doing things that are not conducive and productive to our society. We must use this occasion. We must ensure that we use it to the benefit of our society so that we can develop our society where we can have this vision to leave. When we leave this world, we'll leave our country, we'll leave a society that we'll be proud of to the future generation. For improved livelihood and the development of your community and our country, we will work with all men who are willing to be a better vision of themselves. And all of us can make that. Sometimes because of situation, we might feel that we cannot make a contribution to society. We must try as much as possible to change those thoughts. Every one of us who are here are important. Every single one of you can make a valuable contribution to our society. And we have our speciality. We have our skills. Sometimes what you can do, I can't. But when we come together, when we work together as a team, when we form that body, then our strength can be reckoned and we can accomplish many, many difficult things. There is hope for our men. In 2021, and I want to say as a government, we recognize that our human resource in this country is important. That is why we said that we will enhance the skills of our people. We said that we will give scholarships so that we can improve the educational standing in our society. And in 2021, 6,000 applicants were awarded full scholarship for tertiary studies under the Get Ready for Opportunity to Work and the Guyana Online Academy of Learning, of which 69%, I want to repeat that figure, out of 6,000 applicants that were successful in 2021, 69% were women and 31% were men. Why? We are not taking up the opportunities that comes our way.
While in Region 9, Minister Mustafa handed over some $22 million worth of inputs for farmers of the region under the Ministry of Agriculture's Improvement Support Program. Farmers from several villages in the region received a number of machines and other agricultural inputs to boost regional production. During a recent presidential outreach to Region 9, President Dr. Irfan Ali had interacted with farmers who had requested assistance to boost agricultural production there. Minister Mustafa's visit was in keeping with the commitments made to the residents by the President. Farmers received shade house materials, a tractor, disc and roam plows, an ATV, seeds, coconut seedlings, agricultural chemicals including Akushi ant baits, and improved breeding material for poultry, swine, and cattle. Well, that's all the time we have on this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture, a presentation of the Communications Unit, Ministry of Agriculture. I'm your producer and host, Christopher Holder. Remember, as you go about your business, you want to be careful on the roadways. Look out for those who are not looking out for you. I noticed this whole culture of undertaking now is becoming widespread. It's causing all kinds of problems, fender benders on our roadways. Road rage is becoming something that is quite prevalent. We need to have the police step in and do something about these drivers who are undertaking. I traveled up with public transportation for the first time in a while, and the driver was going to do that. I pointed out to him that he wouldn't be doing that with me in the vehicle, so he said everybody else doing it. I told him if everybody else dying, you can die too. But you know, this seems to be the accepted norm now. Everybody doing it, so I'm doing it too. And it shouldn't be, unless the police step in and make some examples out of guys who are taking advantage of the situation on the roadways and doing everything illegal, putting the lives of our citizens at risk. Then this will continue to escalate. So I'm calling on the Guyana Police Force Traffic Department to step up, take this growing problem in hand, along with all the other problems that are happening on our roadways. Until next time then, be good to yourselves and to each other.